And the grief is the most painful grief I've ever experienced. And you can't take it back. There are no do-overs. And we need to stop telling these young women, oh, you've got plenty of time, prioritize your career, because this is the result. This is the result of, going to college, getting a degree, prioritizing all of that, and saying you have time. And dating around, because all you're doing is learning to break up. All you're doing is learning to find flaws in people so you can discard them. And that's not good. So this is the warning. This woman is the warning to the women. If you're 20, it's fine to get married and have kids. And yes, you can be useful and helpful. You're not going to be, miserable having a family and serving that family. And if for whatever reason you're miserable in any of those situations, it's your own fault. It's your own responsibility. Being selfish will make you miserable. It really will. Serving yourself, self, really makes you miserable on the inside. It's toxic. Serving yourself is exactly what Satan wants you to do. It just is. And this is what it leads to. It's a long time until the end. Between when you can't have babies anymore and you've sort of aged out of the, wife, mother, family. It's a long time till the end of this part of life. The earth, this part of life. So much truth that it created the motivation and the need to begin this channel separately from my original channel, Far From Eden. We discovered that we really need to go back in time to listen to what our ancestors, the people who created Western civilization, were trying to instill in us, and what they knew was truth. So today, the fairy tale is The 6 Servants. Now, if you're new here, welcome. I don't read these ahead of time because I want to experience them, for the first time with you guys. That means that my reactions are, in the moment. And so is my analysis. It's interesting because my original analysis, the more I think about the tale later, just as literature is supposed to do, the truth and everything, the bigger concepts, sinks in more. And I think that was the intention of these fairy tales. Yes, they're fantastical. Yes, they're entertaining. We often say on this channel, okay, it's time for the mushroom trip, about 3/4 of the way through. We'll see if we have that in the 6 Servants. But deeper than that, there's more. And deeper than that, there's more. And the overlords of society, those who pull the strings above the politicians and the governments that we think are in charge, don't want you to know the very, very things that the Grimm brothers thought were imperative for us to know to protect their civilization. It is and I've said this time and time again, and you will hear me refer to the French Revolution, because I think that is where everything broke. This idea of liberté, do as thou wilt. That sounds familiar. Satanic Bible, anybody? This was written, or this was published. They felt the need to publish this shortly after the French Revolution. I've only ever told this story to maybe 1 or 2 people because it scares me to even say it out loud. But my faith is stronger now, so I'm going to share this story with you. My mother told me that when my grandmother was young, she got very interested in witchcraft. She was curious about it. I mean, this is back in the 40s, late 40s, early 50s, I would say, that this would have been happening. And so it's not really like tarot cards were everywhere. But she did get very interested in it. And actually, now that I'm saying this, she did travel with the carnies, but later on in life. Different thing. So it's not like she was consulting with the gypsies and whoever at that time. I guess that's not socially acceptable, whatever. So she became very interested, reading about astrology and various things about witchcraft. And the occult. So one night or day, what have you, I guess I'm thinking it was night, a demon visited her. And basically, the story is that the demon raped her. Now, I know it sounds insane. I was younger. I was probably middle school age-ish. I believed it, and I believe it now. Even Tucker Carlson has said something about, he was attacked by one. He had scratches on him. You could say he's a Fed. He's not a Fed. Whatever. This stuff is real. It's real. And I don't know if C.S. Lewis, if he were here and I told him this story, I don't know what he would say. I don't know if he thought that these creatures interact with us like in the physical at all, or if it is all spiritual. They don't get that that's exactly what they're saying.
We are probably not finding our husbands on dating apps because they're not on dating apps. I don't know where mine is. Not there. I've checked thoroughly.
Okay. Why don't these, I know we're not good at math, but why don't they understand? Like, you're the common denominator. Maybe you need to do something. Maybe you need to change. Maybe the problem isn't where we're looking. Maybe we women as a collective need to take some stock in how we've been behaving and do more than just platitudes of, look, like in one of my recent videos, look, I made you chocolate covered pretzels. It's not enough. You can't undo all this feminism with some chocolate covered pretzels. You can't emasculate him and make TikToks about him and brag about yourself and show your cleavage off and be like, but I made you chocolate covered pretzels. So it's okay because look how feminine I am. Oh, I baked a cake. Like that's not everything. You can't just do that. And then once in a while, grant him hanky-panky and call yourself a wife or a girlfriend or whatever. Maybe it's us. More men than ever are purposely making less money. And I know that it blows the mind of many American normies who are like, but why would you do that? Money is everything, luxury, pleasure, etc. And there's a lot of men that are like, yeah, no. Because think about it. Historically, men would increase their status, increase their ability to, spoil their wives with lavish luxuries, big houses that they wanted, etc. And now that many men feel like they're not getting something in return from those women, or the risks are too high, they're like, but why would I want the McMansion? My needs are simple. So the ones that are earning less now, I think there are those that are doing it on purpose. I don't know that we have stats for that yet, but also it's what 304 Math points out in several of his videos, where if the women are getting the jobs and being promoted and having this equality, right? Well, there's less money for the men. So of course they're going to make less. And I might point out that college is not the most hospitable environment for masculine men or for conservative men. So I would imagine that they're kind of like, maybe I'm going to go a different path. So when you're being pushed out, when you're being, when your earnings are being halved, yeah, there are going to be fewer men with those kind of, just with that kind of disposable income that is appealing to women. I was going to use an adjective, but I decided against it. There's other ones that are fun to pick apart, but be forewarned, because once you learn to see the propaganda, you cannot not see it. You will literally see it everywhere. You'll see it on a billboard. You'll see it in an advertisement. You'll see it literally everywhere. That, girls can do anything. No, they can't. Mulan, the Disney princess, really, she's gonna dress up like a man. This 18-year-old girl or whatever, she's gonna dress up like a man and save China. She's gonna fight other grown male soldiers. Sure. Why not? I mean, literally, this is what, and we believed it. I mean, I'm making confessions that I believed it. Mulan used to be my favorite Disney princess. It's so embarrassing. I'm not a stupid person. And I didn't come from, a single parent household. But I fell for it. So I can only imagine what it must be like in the brain of somebody who's already in a susceptible situation like one of those. Speaking of single parent households, if you grow up nowadays, there's so many more. I mean, I'm 43, so there weren't as many single moms when I was coming up, but now there are so many, especially in the places I've lived recently. I'm just like, does anybody have two parents? They are heralded as these women that can do it all and do it all well. They can, be a professional, and they can be the best mom. And, and in being a mother, they're a nurse and a chef and all these other things they say they are. No, they're not. They're popping in like Totino's pizza rolls at the last minute, or driving through the McDonald's drive-through to, give their kids food. So here we are. And I've met so many of you in the chat through email, which I'm constantly trying to keep up with, but it's important to me to do that. And it's just been a blessing all around to get to connect with you guys and hear your stories and just have a community. So I just wanted to say that it's really important to me. Now, I know that since I started this channel in 2020, there's been a lot more female sort of red pill content, although red pill, the definition of that has changed so much, even in the last, 6 months to a year, maybe. I don't know. I've lost track of time. But it used to mean that you were awake to certain issues facing men and in dating, etc. And then, sort of Andrew Tate came on the scene and it became redefined. It went to now it's sort of like, it's just like the man whoredom situation where he can have as many females, or should have as many females as possible. And I'm like, whoa, that's not what I think. I don't think that. So I'm like, well, no, I'm not. I can't really say hashtag red pill because it used to mean awake. And so I don't know. But my point of saying that was like, I'm not one of those sort of content creators that came out of this. And many of you guys know Pearl. Obviously, she's exploded. She's probably the biggest. I don't know the names of the other ones, but I know that more came on. And I'm glad, because these are issues that need to be talked about, even if, depending on the motivation of the person, as long as the message is getting out. I would love it if people believed in it, had a dog in the fight, had some skin in the game, so to speak. But even if they're on there totally lying because they just want to be a famous YouTuber, the message is getting out. They're choosing that message to propagate. And that's a lot better message than some of the other messages we have seen people choose to propagate. Beautiful. Because, I mean, I was talking about it just yesterday with you guys when you were watching the female officer try and arrest a female abuser. And she could not get the handcuffs on. And the male officer was even like holding one arm and it was taking forever. So I was like, oh, it's like Christmas came early. And I mean, it's awful for these. I mean, okay. Yeah, I feel bad for women in this way. The same as I would feel bad for children. Because they believe all this baloney about men and women are equal and I can do anything you can do, or I can do everything you can do, but I can do it better. Please. I don't understand what the deal is. I remember that show. I'm going to age myself again. I don't even remember when it was out because I didn't watch it, but it was a show called Alias, and it starred Jennifer Garner, you know, Ben Affleck's ex-wife. It was like the first thing I really remember her in. I don't know what it was about. She was some kind of like agent, something, but she was like an action hero, right? So she's like, you know, able to beat up the guys. And I think it must be that women have seen this in movies and television and think that we can just do that. We can't.